Flippers are different. So you're not going to own the property long enough to need the full coverage on it. And honestly, because of the liability that you add from having construction workers on site, and you need just an entirely different property, because if something goes wrong, you're not going to your State Farm agent, like I got a little flood in the basement, I need you to take care of that. That's not the insurance we're getting on these properties, okay? The types of insurance you need very different, very much from the type of insurance you would get on a property you're living in. Part of the reason for that difference is the contents of the property. See, when you buy homeowners insurance for a house you're living in, it doesn't just cover the structure, which is awesome should something happen.
Check, 1 2 1 2.
Turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
The tides are turning. The time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house. Buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Yeah. And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum, recording live from our downtown studios with our executive producer, Mr. Jonathan Winston.
What is up, everybody? All my favorite people, anybody that's been a dedicated listener for however long. We appreciate you tuning in. We love doing these podcasts and these episodes for you. So we're back at it again. It is becoming spring and summer. The music scene is kind of heating up. I'm like,
can't wait.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of excited about some, upcoming events that I'm going to be a part of and things that I'm looking to, stretch out, collaborate with some people with on. So it's a good time of year for sure.
Off topic a little bit, but whatever happened to Ja Rule? Is he still around? Because I'm like, what's my name?
The last I heard about him was a fire festival, and that falling through. So I think he kind of just went into a little bit of hiding for a little bit, so people could forget about that. Which we're bringing it up now. So sorry, Ja, but at the same time, man, you just got to do what you got to do, man. He's a celebrity. He's not there just in the detail stuff. He's leaving that up to the other people.
I missed me some Ja Rule. I don't know what it was about.
He was good, man. 50 Cent.
Voice.
50 Cent kind of came in and stole his whole vibe, but then made fun of him for it. But at the same time, he was holding it down for a minute there.
This could take a turn for worse. Ja, if you're out there, man, we'd like to holler at you directly about what happened.
Come on the show, man.
You just kick it. We'd love to chat with you about that. Anyway, let's get back to it. Title of the show today, The Importance of Insurance on Your Fix and Flip Property, and what insurances you need to be solid on that. Now, the reason this came up is just today. We were going to see a property that we are buying. So today is the closing, okay? Mm-hmm. After I wrap up here, I'm going to the title company to sign for this property we're buying over in the Stetson Hills area. So we're going over there to do our final walkthrough as we customarily do. There's a tenant in there, so we like to see what it's going to look like right before we own it. It don't really matter because we fix stuff anyway, but just nice to get one last eyeball on the property prior to closing, right? On the way there are sirens and motorcycle cops and several fire trucks, and it's like, oh man, what's going on? So we're driving past, and in a field roughly a mile away from our property, there's a massive fire. Now, Colorado is not unknown for its fires. A couple of years back, we had a fire where we were evacuated from the property. I lived in a house many years back in a very sad time because, the prospect of losing your home, but also people's lives are obviously negatively impacted by fire. Needless to say, the guy lending on the property is calling. He's blowing up my phone. We're over there. He's like, have we closed yet? I'm like, no, because, we're not going to close until I got that proof of insurance. That's kind of a requirement anyway.
Right.
So that wasn't like a surprise. I'm like, nah, I feel you, man. I'm over here now. I'm actually at the property. The fire is far enough away. It'd be very difficult for it to get here. But the point is well taken that I don't want to own I don't want my new house investment to be a burning, smoldering pile of rubble, right?
That would suck. That would suck for your return.
I mean, we're flippers, but that's big. If you're flipping from rubble, you're good.
We don't really do the fire properties that much.
We're not fire properties, So brought up the topic that a lot of people may not understand. Obviously, you need homeowners insurance when you flip property, but it's a different type of homeowners insurance. See, the homeowners insurance you generally get is going to cover little things like your roof going bad, little Bobby busts out your window with a BB gun.
Right.
That's a personal experience thing that I did as a kid, and I'm still sorry about that. And whatnot is all going to be covered by your homeowner's insurance after the deductible. Flippers are different. So you're not going to own the property long enough to need the full coverage on it. And honestly, because of the liability that you add from having construction workers on site, and you need just an entirely different property, because if something goes wrong, you're not going to your State Farm agent, like I got a little flood in the basement, I need you to take care of that. That's not the insurance we're getting on these properties, okay? The types of insurance you need very different, very much from the type of insurance you would get on a property you're living in. Part of the reason for that difference is the contents of the property. See, when you buy homeowners insurance for a house you're living in, it doesn't just cover the structure, which is awesome should something happen, like a fire swooping through and reducing it to a smoldering pile of ash, but also the things that were inside, your clothes, that throwback jersey collection you have.
Looking like Fab in 2003, bruh.
It's S-O, F-A-B-A-L-O-U-S. I can't imagine Mace. Trying to insure Mace's house. It's like, how much was that jewelry worth?
I don't know, man. Cameron bought me this.
Cameron bought me this chain. We're doing a lot of old school hip hop references. So
I got this one from the church I started. Thank you for your tithes and offering.
What the hell happened? John Rule. You can tell us that story. I think I can find out a little more about
from New
that.
York, bro. Yeah, y'all should know something about that.
Anyway, back up. We got to make sure you got the right coverage. So the first coverage that this article from LorraineInsurance.com, shout out to them for letting us use their content here. We're going to post this to the Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group so you can review this on your own. But number one they mentioned is the builder's risk policy. Now, if you're planning to do any sort of structural renovation, it could be covered during the builder's risk policy. This is generally if you're really tearing into this thing, okay? So we don't generally get builder's risk policy. Obviously, if you're building a property, you have to have that. The lender on it's going to require that you have the risk in case the materials burn down or are stolen. That's a big problem where, people will show up and loot your property for stuff and whatnot. Generally speaking, we are in and out of a flip in somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks, okay? So all sorts of stuff can go wrong in 4 to 6 weeks. We don't generally get builder's risk policy, but if you are doing a major renovation, you're going to be in there for, several months, if not a year worth of renovation. There's going to be expensive materials on site. You're changing the structure. The property has a structural problem, yada, yada, yada. Doing major renovation, you're going to want to consider a builder's risk policy. Not expensive though. Okay, I want to let you know that that's not a super expensive liability coverage to get. Just know if you need it, it's something you're definitely going to want to have, because the last thing you want, we had a situation where we had bought, I don't know, I want to call it $7,000 worth of tile for a larger project we were working on, right? And for some reason, somebody got access to that property who didn't need access to it. This worked to be more of an interior problem, so it was an interior security, not exterior. But the point is, they got in, they jacked my tile. Had I had that builder's risk policy in place, it would have covered those materials vaporizing off of my job site and saved me some money. In the end, we just took the loss. So it goes to show, that you're better off getting some coverages for those kind of things. Right. Next up, you've got number 2, the general liability insurance. This is pretty much what every insurance policy has. You got a general liability coverage. The idea is such as a slip and fall or wrongful death. Obviously, I got a story, right? It's kind of tied to the flipping, but you'll like this more. When I was a kid, I owned a satellite installation company, Dish Network satellites, right? Okay. And DirecTV. We were primarily doing Dish Network, but we dabbled in both. Anyhow, this one cat on my installation crew who had this, he called it a drill mount, but it was basically a piece of metal that had come off of a World War II aircraft that I guess his dad had flown in. It had a lot of sentimental value to him. And it also doubled. He could put his drill like in a holster style. If he needed to pull the drill out real quick, be like, I got you. You're screwed.
Okay,
Too
man.
soon?
No, I don't know, man. That was funny.
You like that? All right, cool. I like it. You're screwed.
Please don't screw me, sir. No, I don't want it. No.
You get the drill. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, we're going off today.
It's going to be that day, man. So he had this, and I told him multiple times, like, hey, man, I love the nostalgia behind it. It's dope. Like, it's a cool piece. I love what you've done. However, one day, that thing is going to become a problem. Like, you're going to break something with that loop because, like, most drill mounts are soft. Now, I don't know if that's because they also planned ahead for what I'm about to tell you, or because it's just common sense. Anyway, guy's on the roof installing a dish. Wind blows. He falls over. That belt loop hits a skylight.
Oh, my goodness.
Cracks the skylight. He falls through it.
Oh, my goodness.
Didn't kill him, unfortunately, because this would have been a much shorter case had it. And I know it's a terrible thing to say, but my attorneys would agree. An old boy proceeds to sue me for workman's comp because he got injured, hurt his back and whatnot, because he fell to the skylight after I made it clear they had to take that MF and belt loop off before some bad stuff happens.
Hi, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. One of the things we talk about on the show is the importance of great foreclosure data in helping you to find a great deal on a foreclosure property. But where do you find this data? You're certainly not going to find it on Realtor.com. You can't get it on your local MLS. So we have partnered with data provider Foreclosures.com to get you the latest and greatest in foreclosure listings right there in your local market. These properties are not hit the market in most cases, and when they have been foreclosed, gives you easy access to find out more detail so you can get the best deal on a foreclosure property. Getting started is super easy. Head on out to foreclosuredealscoach.com and click on the link labeled foreclosure list. Enter your zip code for a free 7-day trial of the best foreclosure listing data available in your local market. These properties are not even on the market yet, so you can get a jump on them and get a great deal. Once again, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
My lawyer, I was like 21 years old. Okay, I'm going way back right now. The lawyer's pretty clear. There ain't no way he's going to win this case. He was an independent contractor. You got no shot of losing. You're going to be all right. He said, that being said, the legal cost it's going to take to fight this case is more than the company is worth. So my advice is file bankruptcy and walk away. Ultimately cost me the company. I'm not upset. No, I'm upset. I'm trying not to come across as upset. But had old boy just listened to me about that damn belt loop,
what are you
we would have been
doing?
good. Also, if I had better, this is nice, see how I tied this back around? If I had better general liability insurance, I would have been covered. When you're doing fix and flips, you have a bunch of contractors who are not necessarily going to take your advice about the belt loop or the drill loop they're wearing.
I've been doing this forever, bro. Don't worry about it.
I got to figure it out, right? I play with a nail gun, right? Nailed it. These guys don't always get the drill. So sometimes you have to explain to them that you're an independent contractor, but the general liability insurance that is generally required to do any sort of fix and flip activity where contractors are going to be involved, you want to have that as a coverage. Most flip insurance, which Luray Insurance provides, this wasn't supposed to be an endorsement for Luray Insurance, but most insurance has that general liability coverage. Just need to be aware and make sure you've got it as well, because should somebody get injured or happen. We had a guy cut his finger off trying to work on a tile saw. Yeah, that was, he really got the point later on. But that the tile saws they're dangerous tools. Like what people are dealing with, nail guns, tile saws, it's all dangerous stuff, okay? And as long as you're paying attention and you're working with pros, it's not generally an issue. But this guy lost a pinky finger on the job site, and the general liability insurance, ultimately the coverage that took care of him. Not that we were technically liable, but we were protected because of that.
That's why I flip the paper, guys. I don't flip the nails. I don't flip the tile. I don't do none of that.
And it's funny you bring that up because most of our listeners are that. Like, I've got a lot of people who are heavy into construction. They want to do the actual work. But the reality is most of us don't have the desire nor the skill set to get up on that roof and start pounding nails into the roof, right? If you do, kudos to you, baby. But just the same, get that general liability coverage, right? Because you have subcontractors, contractors, et cetera. If somebody gets hurt, you want to make sure you're covered and it didn't cost you a 5-year-old satellite business because some idiot wouldn't listen to you on a drill loop. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not bitter. Okay, moving on. Number 3, general contractors insurance. Okay, and the idea behind this is a general protection policy. We have this as well. So everybody that you have, and the article goes on to say it's about $1,500 per year. I think we're paying a little bit more than that, but we're a larger company than most. And the idea behind it is, should somebody on the GC side fail to do their proper insurance work, it now falls back on your general contractor's insurance so they can get that covered. Okay, there are multiple ways you can protect yourself in this business, and I have to tell you that the losses from flipping are generally not knowing what they were getting into as far as the flip side, like doing too much work or doing too little work to the property, getting the bad contractor, etc. The second reason I've seen people get pummeled in doing their first or subsequent fix and flip is lack of correct coverage on the property. So my advice is obviously to heed this advice and make sure that you're getting the right coverages on the property. Most people will get by with the general liability insurance, okay? We got that insurance on the property we're closing on today. I don't know if that binder is going to be in place in time for the closing, so it may fund tomorrow. But, my wife, who generally signs for the property, is like, yeah, it's cool. If it takes another day, let's just make sure we got the right coverage. There's a fire a mile away right now.
Yeah, for sure.
The last thing I want to do is buy the property, not be covered, and then it burns down a couple hours later, right? Unlikely. This is far enough away from the fire that it's not really going to be an issue, but the unlikely is what takes people out of the game. There's so much in the unlikely space. This is a risky business that we're in. Okay, so your three coverages, once again, are your builder's risk policy, generally reserved from building from the ground up or doing major structural renovation, which we advise our clients, especially in the early phases of fix and flip, not to do anyway. So you shouldn't necessarily need that all the time. But if you are doing a lot of work in that, you want to consider that builder risk policy. It's definitely worth the coverage. General liability is it's required. You've got other people on your job site. You must have that. Make sure you've got general liability coverage in addition to the structural coverage, okay? So most lenders are not going to lend you the money to buy a property in general of the basic homeowner structural coverage. These are additions. They're addendums to the existing coverage that we're talking about here, not the base structural insurance, which is just generally required to buy a property at all, okay? So you do want to get that general liability insurance coverage because something can go wrong and it could cost you big if it does. And then lastly, the general contractor's insurance. You're simply going to need that to work with your GCs on a day-to-day basis. If you've got the right coverage, this business that we're in should not be that stressful. All sorts of stuff can go wrong and generally does. My day is just a series of putting out the latest fire. Bad example, the fire out the back door right now, but generally putting out a fire, if you have the coverage, you're going to sleep better at night. So I know there's a lot of you out there a little bit cheap. I ain't trying to pay for all that. I don't need the extra $1,000 income. I am promising you will sleep better at night, and that alone is worth the price of admission. Okay, insurance has its place. As Chris Rock put it, I think it'd be super cool if something did. Since insurance is basically in case stuff happens. Chris used the other word, but we're trying to make this a family show.
Right.
Since insurance is about in case stuff happens, if stuff doesn't happen, they should give you your money back, right?
Right.
But they don't. Let's just so we're clear on that. They don't.
What kind of premium do you pay to not get slapped in the face?
Thank you, Will Smith. Welcome to Miami. Damn, that was rough.
Sorry, guys, I had to bring it up.
That was awesome. I mean, I think Jada's cool with it, though.
Yes.
You got to have the coverages. You sleep at night knowing you're running a business that has general liability coverage. Okay, every major employer out there, Target, has coverage on you for the moment you walk through those big sliding glass doors. Okay, they're not letting you walk down the escalator at your local mall without the coverage that if you fall down an escalator, they got insurance policies going to make sure they don't pay for it. Okay, you can't gamble in Vegas without having insurance, and you should not be flipping properties. You don't personally need insurance, but the person who owns that casino, the large corporation that needs to be protected, is constantly being sued by somebody. And you got to remember, some people, including our contractors out there, can just be vindictive for the sake of being vindictive, okay? That injury is probably legit, and I like to err on the side of I believe that accidents happen. But I'll be frank with you, man, we've had some experiences several hundred flips later where it was sketch. Like I couldn't tell if this was a legit problem or if we were getting played, right? In either case, I referred to my insurance agent and I didn't have to worry about it. See what I'm saying? You ain't got time to do investigation. You got a business to run that's related to real estate. You're not in the fraud detection business and you're not in the medical business. Somebody gets hurt, you want to be able to refer that off to somebody else and not deal with it. Now, all that being said, I know it's kind of scary, but when you join the coaching program, a little shameless plug here, we're going to evaluate what insurance is necessary for your specific deal. All the things that we do as part of this is to walk you through the pitfalls and mistakes that I have made over the last 12 to 15 years of flipping property to make sure you don't have to make those same mistakes. Insurance is one of those things that's like, man, that house ain't going to burn down in the next 90 days.
Don't worry about it, bro. That's
stupid, bro. Right? I don't even be paying an extra $600-700. That's my Viper payment,
Right.
right? I've grown up. I'm a little bit more mature. I got employees, I got staff, I've got office space, I've got people that are relying on me, and getting blown up over a $500 insurance policy is just ignorant at this phase. No matter where you're at in the phase, we're going to meet you where you are and help you through it, and I promise you, you need to get the right general liability coverage. Now, it ain't exciting or fun, so we tried to, liven it up and, to add some old school hip hop for you. I thought I told you that we won't stop.
Oh.
Thought I told you that we won't stop.
Take that.
What do you think, Mace? I don't know, man. Ever since I started that church.
I just think that I've been going right. Lord, am I doing something wrong?
Is my general liability insurance?
Am I grifting from the people a little bit too much?
Just get your coverage right. Try to read through the humor and understand this is a serious thing.
Right.
You gotta have the right coverage on your property. Doing so will help you to advance the flipping business. Just one more facet of a multifaceted business that can make you very wealthy, or it can wipe you out if you do it wrong. Don't be the other guy. Join up, do this correctly, and if you're ready to take your investing career to the next level, I would love to chat with you. I'd love to have a sit down. Simply reach out to my boy Jay Winston through the multiple channels and get set up for a coaching call. We're going to walk through all the steps that you need to do to become a successful real estate investor right there in your home market. With that, that's our show for today, man. Short and sweet. Insurance is sexy. It's sexy.
And hip.
It's hip. It's cool. All the kids are talking about. Hey, what kind of insurance you got on that?
General liabilities and general contractors. I'm stepping it up this time, baby.
Hit me up. When you're ready to go, we're ready for you. This is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. Thanking you so much for tuning in yet again to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, and reminding you, as always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more of the mindset, methodology, and tools you'll need to invest in foreclosures. Visit foreclosuredealscoach.com and text DEAL to get a list of foreclosures in your area.